Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about this thing. This is the HIDman AXP. And what this is, it's a USB to PS2/AT/XT/serial mouse adapter that was sent in by Aaron over at Retro Hack Shack, and it's an open source project. And I want to talk about, well, now that I've had a little time to use this thing, I want to talk about what it's all about, why I like it, and how it might be useful to you as well. So first off, what does this little box do with these wires? Well, the main thing is, like I said, it converts USB, which I happen to have a Logitech wireless keyboard plugged into it, converts that to regular style PC keyboard and a mouse connection. And that's really handy for me because a lot of times I'm working on stuff like this, IBM PC XT. This happens to be a clone with the OneRom on it, another great open source project. I'm working on stuff like this, and I'm also working on things like this, 286, 386, 486 boards. And while I am lucky because I happen to have XT keyboards, I have AT keyboards, PS2 keyboards, I have a bunch of that stuff sort of floating around the basement, I know that, especially with XT keyboards, those are not always super common. And of course, the other thing is, here is a Model F keyboard. And the problem with this one, as an example, is, well, the keyboard connector is all chewed up. Now, I've talked about this in a recent video. I have a replacement cable that friend of the channel, Vax11, sent in, so I need to swap that out. I just haven't done it yet. The problem with this keyboard, as nice as it is, it's super heavy. I mean, metal construction, it weighs a ton just holding it. Sounds good, feels good to type on, beam spring and all that. Problem with it is the layout sucks. I mean, I guess if this was your only keyboard back in the day, you'd get very used to it very quickly, and that was not a problem. But of course, in this day and age, we're not used to that kind of a layout, so it's kind of difficult to type on. The keys are just in weird positions, and you're just not used to it. So typing quickly on it is a bit of a hassle. And that's where something like this comes in, because you could just use a normal USB style keyboard like this wireless keyboard here that's getting kind of worn out. These are so cheap and crappy, you just have to kind of replace them periodically because they wear out. But you just use that with a wireless dongle plugged into this little box, and then you have a keyboard that's very familiar to you, at least layout wise, and yet still works with XTs. And then the cool thing is you can push a button and then this works on ATs. So you can use it on the 286, you can use it on the XT, you can use it on all of these old computers. Now, I happen to be using this thing with it right now, which is a Logitech K400. I hate this keyboard, but what I like about it is it's kind of small, it is wireless, and it has a built-in trackpad. So that's where the mouse emulation comes in, because I was actually working on something just the other day where I needed to have working mouse support. And I happen to be using, I think I was actually using this 286 motherboard, so there's no PS2 mouse support. So therefore I was using the 9-pin serial mouse capability that this box has. Now I just went and grabbed this because, as a side note, this is the keyboard that I like to use when I'm using XT-based systems. This is actually a Wells American keyboard from Columbia, South Carolina, if you can believe it. It's really a pretty nice keyboard. The layout is really standard, like Model M style, where you have the regular enter with the backslash right above it. It's mechanical feeling. I don't know what type of keys this is. I think it's like Space Invader keys, maybe. Feels nice. It's pretty substantial. It is plastic. It is creaky. But what this does have is an XT-AT switch on it. So this does work on XTs and ATs, and I always keep this on XT mode. It looks like it is right now, simply because I really prefer using this over the Model F keyboard with the XTs. The Model F feels so good, but the layout is just, yeah, abysmal. Now that Wells American keyboard, one of the issues with those is I was really lucky. I just had that thing for years. I don't know how much they would cost if you tried to find one and buy one, especially one that's in really good shape like that one. It's not yellowed or anything, and it's not dirty. Probably a lot of money. This adapter, on the other hand, lets you use any kind of keyboard, including like a modern mechanical keyboard or a cheap thrift store keyboard that you get for like $2 or whatever. It will all just kind of work with this thing. You plug a regular mouse into this as well. Any mouse that you like, wireless or otherwise. Yeah, I just love the flexibility of things like this. I love projects like this. First things first, because I'm doing a terrible job explaining how this thing works, let's take a look at the GitHub repo and we'll just see a little bit more about it. So open source device to allow use of modern keyboards and modern mice on legacy PCs. What I haven't mentioned is, well, you can kind of get a look at it. So USB input, this is the PS2 output. This would go to your more modern legacy computer that has a PS2 mouse port, IBM PS2s, of course, but even later ATX style motherboards like Pentiums and stuff like that. And then we have keyboard output, which is going to output, well, it's in the PS2 form factor, but I have one of these adapters on here that just goes to the regular 5-pin DIN connector. And then we have a serial mouse output. Should support the majority of standard USB keyboards and mice, including the ones with wireless dongles, like I have plugged in here. Also supports some game controllers. Button accesses are mapped to key presses or mouse actions. Ah, that's something I haven't even tried. But here's what it emulates right out of the box, at least. The firmware that's on this one is able to do this stuff. So IBM PC and XT and clones, of course. The AT and the PS2 protocol, which of course is the same thing. And it also does Amstrad PC. And that's because I'm pretty sure Andy, the creator of this project, is from the UK. And of course, Amstrad PCs were a pretty common sight there. And they do use a different keyboard protocol that, of course, is not standard. So you can't just use your normal keyboard with it. So that's why the Amstrad or the firmware supports Amstrad keyboards. The equivalent would be here in the US would be Tandy 1000 support, because it also used a non-standard keyboard. The later Tandy 1000s did use a regular, I think, AT protocol. But everything before the TL, if I recall, uses a custom Tandy protocol. And I did make a video a while ago, and there's even, well, I think it's on my GitHub, is a little open source converter that I created, I think just using a regular AT Mega, like a little Arduino board. You can just wire it up with a keyboard cable, and it will convert PS2 or AT keyboard protocol into Tandy 1000. But it could totally be integrated into this as well. The one thing I will mention about this, by the way, I'm just going to have to throw this out there, is it is software upgradable without taking this thing apart. You need a USB-A to A cable. I don't have any such abominations in my house. I have gotten rid of those a long time ago because, you know, you should never have an A to A cable. That's just like having a plug that you plug into your wall and the other end is also a male plug, you know, where one end is plugged in, the other side is energized. You can get electrocuted from it. Yeah, I don't have, it's not quite that dangerous, but I don't have things like that around the house. So I can't do updates on the firmware. It looks like the firmware update, I mean, the recent update is from the 23rd of May from last year. But either way, if anyone wanted to kind of work on this a little bit, I am sure there is some room in the firmware, or you could replace the Amstrad support with Tandy 1000 support. So yeah, if you regularly work with Tandys, also a handy thing. Now, it goes without saying, if you had like a permanent installation of machines like XTs and ATs and they're always set up, you might not necessarily want to use like something like this and you want to just have like a real keyboard. But for me, because I'm constantly working on different systems, which is why like all my motherboards have these little scaffolding things underneath them, because I just sort of keep them stacked up on a shelf over there. This is just so helpful to me. It doesn't matter if it's an XT, AT, whatever, I could just use this stuff right here. It's all I need to get one of these systems working quickly and easily on the bench. Okay, so back to this. Yes, so the mouse support, when you're in serial mode, it does emulate Logitech style mice, not Microsoft. That's neither here nor there. There's pretty much drivers for everything that support that type of serial mouse, Logitech that is. And of course, PS2 support, that's pretty standard because everyone just copied the way IBM did it on the PS2. And I guess it supports scroll wheel support with up to 5 buttons. So whatever Microsoft IntelliMouse was doing with the PS2 protocol, it's copying that. There is a configuration menu, which I will show you in a second when we get this thing up and running. And if you want to purchase one of these instead of buying one yourself, well, there's a couple places you can buy it. So this is Aaron's store at the Retro Hack Shack. So there's the board itself. So you can take a look. It has a little AT Mega, or I don't know if that's an AT Mega. I don't know what kind of microcontroller that is actually. But you can buy it in different configurations. So if you just want to get the adapter itself, a little bare board, which to be honest, it's all you really need. There it is. It's $50. And then, you know, you can buy accessories and stuff for it, like some cables and the case and stuff like that, which Aaron did go and send me when he sent this to me. And you can go ahead and buy it from Andy's Tandy as well. It's nice that Tandy is actually back up. They were down for like weeks, I think, for a while. I don't know if they had like a cyber attack or what happened exactly. It looks like it's out of stock from Andy, but I did see that Aaron has them. Aaron's based in the Bay Area here in the US, so at least if you're in the United States, you won't be paying tariffs and stuff like that. Of course, you can just build these yourself, so you can get the assembled PCB, which I think has like the surface mount components right on it. Probably from this, yes, you can have them do the assembly from PCBWay, so that is completely up to you as well. And Andy has all the stuff for like the different plates and enclosure stuff, which are actually PCBs, I think. Yes, I think the little plates on the front and back of this extruded aluminum or aluminium case our actual PCBs. So you can get that all done. Very cool. All right, so like I said, I have a little assortment of stuff we're going to test on. Let's start with the XT. So I'll move the 286 off the bench. This has the OneRom on it. These are awesome as well from Piers, also another UK person. All these people making awesome things in the UK, open source projects like this. We will use a VGA card. I'll use this little mini serial card. I don't know where I found this, but it was missing its back plate, but it's like perfect for when I need to use a serial mouse. It's just a single COM port. And look at that, made in the USA. Even says it back here, made in USA. But yeah, I kind of like this thing. It's just so simple and kind of perfect. So we'll use that. And then for booting the system, we're going to use this old card. This is the NCL card that has XT IDE built into it and a floppy drive controller. Plus I have a compact flash thing. So I swapped the pin header out for a right angle one. I added some LEDs, you know, some bodges on the back. So like powers this thing up and stuff like that. But yeah, you've seen this on the channel before. And of course it has an XT IDE. This thing, by the way, has a SRAM on it. That's just not used. I think I figured out in the video about this way this was mapped into memory, I think. But clearly XT IDE does not use that. But the original ROM that was on here does. It's just XT IDE is so much better than whatever was on here originally. Yeah, that's where the BIOS ROM is. And you can turn the BIOS off and on with a jumper. And obviously, I'm not going to be using this on the XT. I don't even know why I was talking about it like I was, because yes, it's a 16-bit card. Everyone was probably like, what is he talking about? So I'll be using this. It is one of the XT IDE revision 3 boards from Glitchworks. Look at that, 2016. This is 10 years old, this particular revision. I think this project is even older than that. This thing has been through the ringer. Like, I have plugged this in backwards, shorted out half the chips, like just so much has gone wrong with it. I've broken multiple of these as well. They kind of wear out after a while. If you just plug it in and unplug it a million times, the connectors break. We'll be using that with this and the VGA card. Okay, so I haven't plugged this adapter in. Let's just turn the machine on, make sure everything is working first. This is running the super fast BIOS, I think. Yes, it is. And by super fast BIOS, I'm talking about GLAB BIOS. I modified that to kind of remove all the diagnostics entirely. So this system pretty much boots nearly instantly. It's kind of slower because it's got the XT IDE card in there. So once it starts loading that, it sort of slows down. And it's not doing anything right now. And that's because I don't have the power connected to the compact flash adapter. I really need to just add a bodge wire that powers that up all the time. I think I had to take it off when I broke the last one of these, or it broke. All right, there you go. It's going to boot up, but of course we don't have a keyboard, although there is no keyboard error because I've removed that from GLAB BIOS, but normally it would have a keyboard error. All right, there we have it. System is booted up and working. So let's power this off and let's get HIDman hooked up. And this is all it really takes. I kind of wish these cables were a little shorter. I mean, that's just something I could probably order or just make some short cables myself, just to kind of soldering some DIN connections together. And to be honest, I'd like to have a cable that didn't have PS2, so I didn't need to use this adapter. And that's only because I never really use PS2 stuff. That's a bit too modern for me. So yeah, maybe I'll just go ahead and make a cable that goes from the mini DIN to this DIN connection. Anyhow, okay, we'll plug this in. Now, the one thing that I kind of mentioned about this being like super obvious and plug and play is that this has a single button and a LED that shines through this little power indicator. And this is the mode switch. And it basically switches this thing into the different emulation mode. And that's what I ended up writing on here. So AT is blue. Sorry, stay in focus camera. Really? Orange is XT. Wow, it is hunting. Wow, it is hunting badly. Orange is XT and white is Amstrad. And I wrote not compatible with the iMac keyboard because I actually had a little bit of a snafu where I first tried this and I plugged in an iMac keyboard, which is what I usually kind of use when I need a USB keyboard. I don't use USB that much. It totally doesn't work with the iMac keyboard. But I know the iMac keyboard, like the original like Bondi Blue one, it's got like a hub inside. I don't know, Apple did some weird stuff. It always works on like modern computers like Linux, Mac, or Windows, just works. But I think it's got a weird hub happening inside and the keyboard itself hangs off of a hub. I mean, so does this little wireless dongle as well. What are these called? Logitech Unify or something. But for whatever reason, the iMac keyboard does not work. So I just put that on there, this label, just to remind me of it. It would be nice, I mean, this is a suggestion to Aaron, you know, at Retro Hack Shack, when you sell this, maybe just include a sticker or something. I think there might have been a paper that came with it that told me this, but I misplaced that immediately. And then I forgot all this stuff. So the mode is important, so that's why, yeah, I stuck that little P-Touch label on there. So now that it's plugged into the keyboard and mouse on the computer, if I just power on the computer, then the light comes on, and we know blue is AT mode, so we got to push this to switch to orange mode for XT mode. And if we push one more time, that is the white color. It's actually, well, it looks a bit more white in my eyes. So anyways, we know that orange is the correct color for XT, which just happens to be what we're using here. And this thing should already be working. So let's just see. There it is. It works. By the way, I hate this keyboard because of this arrow key arrangement. Like the shift situation. I mean, if they just made those little half-size keys, that would have been so much better. Or maybe over here, or I don't know. Yeah, I always hit up arrow instead of shift. I think I'm one of those people who push shift in that exact spot. So that's why this keyboard really bugs me. But anyhow, as you can see, it does work. Now, one thing I will add is if we take a look at this, when I type, you get flashing on the LED to kind of tell you that it is receiving the USB keyboard input. So if you're using a keyboard that's not supported, like the iMac keyboard, that light does not blink when you type. So that's the telltale that it is working. Now, of course, if this is in the wrong mode, it's still going to blink that way, but it's not going to actually work on the system. You can kind of see bottom corner of the screen there, like I'm typing, and we're kind of getting junk characters. And on AT mode, same thing, junk characters. But switch that to XT mode. There we go. We are now working again. Let's go to check it, and let's run the keyboard test routine just to kind of see what this shows up as. All right, so this allows you to test, I guess there are 3 different types of keyboards you can test, but let's do 83 key. And let's just see what keys work and what don't. So one of the annoying things about the Model F is that the backslash, which is right here on, what we're used to above the enter key, is like way over here next to the shift key. So that's nice. Let's see if up, down, left, right. Okay, so that's weird. So I'm pushing up, down, left, right, and like random keys on there are getting selected. Now the funny thing is, I didn't notice any issues while I was in MS-DOS. Now, I wonder what would happen if I plugged in my Wells American keyboard, because it has a 101 layout. If I pushed its arrow keys, if it would just be pushing the 8, 2, 4, and 6 on the numeric keypad. Doesn't look like this keyboard even has mapping for the numeric keypad. Like sometimes you can push the function key and you have numeric keypad like in the middle here. That does not appear to be the case. I'm holding down the function key as doing kind of nothing. Yeah, anyways. What happens if I push F10? There, it's working. F11, nothing. Nothing's registered. F12, nothing's registered. Backspace. Right shift key, left shift key. Alt, caps. What about this Alt key? That somehow shows up as Q. How funny. Okay, well, now this could easily just be a check it problem. To be honest, like I said, I had never noticed any problems with the XT emulation in MS-DOS or any programs. What if we picked enhanced? Okay, here the arrow keys are actually working. And I assume 11 and 12 are working. Yes, they are. Are both Control and Alts working? Yep, they are as well. Yeah, so everything in this mode works as expected. What if I push stuff like volume up, down, home key, things that obviously don't work, page up, page down, home and end, insert, delete. Okay, here is the weirdness that I figured out. This has got to be a keyboard thing with this keyboard. So the number keys work as expected, but if I hold down the function key with my thumb there, now the numeric keypad keys are working. So that's the way you get to, but not the period. The periods, it's still the regular period, whether the key is held down or not. Oh, this keyboard is just terrible. All right, well, but back in MS-DOS here, if I type something and I push the up arrow, up and down arrows like work as expected. So even though in Check It, it was like pushing on weird keys and stuff, it doesn't seem to be an actual problem in usage. And I use this thing quite a bit, and I didn't find any issues. Like everything worked exactly as I would have expected. It works just like it does with that extended keyboard. The arrows work, like everything works. And to me, that is the best point of this, is you can just hot plug it. You can push the button on here to switch modes, and without having to reboot anything, it just works as you would expect. And for testing purposes, that is great. Now, let's test out the mouse support on on an XT here. I've only used this on an AT. So there we go. COM1, IRQ4, Logitech mode. This little card is configured as COM1, IRQ4. And if we go into edit, let's see if this works. I assume it will, just like it does on the just like it does on the 286, which is where I tested it. Yes, this is that slow. That is normal. And there we go. We have a mouse that works. Okay, I'm going to swap over to the 286, and then we'll take a look at all these features again. I mean, it's boring in a way because it will just work, and I know it works on the 286 as I've tested it. But we can also spend a moment just to take a look at the config menu that is built into the HIDman, which I think allows you to do like keyboard remapping and some other stuff. And like I said, there maybe is mouse configuration stuff in there as well. It's booting up, and I know that I need to push the button on here. Switch over to, nope, not white. I need to do blue. Yep, for AT. And I think that's it. Now this chips and technology BIOS, by the way, if the keyboard weren't plugged in or was set wrong, you would get a keyboard error. But this is working. So it's that easy. Cute mouse. And there we go. Logitech mode as well. Hit edit. Loads a lot faster. And I mean, what else is there to say? It just freaking works as well. Okay, let's hold down the power button. I think that's what brings us into the config menu. There it is, HIDman. And this is what it does. It types out the menu. Well, that didn't really work super well, did it? Huh, let's try it again. Well, what if I pick one? Keyboard advanced. Huh, okay, well, this is a first. I figured this would just work. I was unaware that there would be a problem here. Sorry. Okay, I don't know what to do here. How do I even exit out of this? Well, it's sort of stuck now. I think I need to unplug it and plug it back in. So this will power cycle it. So by the way, it does remember which keyboard mode you're in. So last use is always what it resumes. And so it uses the EEPROM in the microcontroller to remember your setting. I mean, it's not like that edit here can't take key pushes quickly, but is it somehow that? Let's try something else. I have VI on here. We'll try VI. So hold down the button. Oh, yeah, that type's fine. Okay, I don't know. How weird. Edit was like having a freak out. And the documentation on the GitHub repo, by the way, says to use edit. So you can log HID data, PS2 mouse status, factory reset, serial log. Don't need any of that stuff. Let's do keyboard. Advanced USB, no. What does that do? I don't know. 81 key mode, is that for like where you don't have a numeric keypad or a page up, page down? So you need to kind of emulate those. Probably is documented on the GitHub repo. Let's check mouse. Advanced USB IntelliMouse support. So that's for scrolling. Advanced USB. Okay, well, I thought maybe there was more in here, but game controller use as a mouse. I guess I need to grab game controller and we could test this out. So I turned it on to yes. And what's in 4 again? Oh yeah, we already looked at here. Okay, well that's it, escape. So now we're just back in normal keyboard mode. So that's how the menu works. Let me go grab an HID style gamepad. Okay, we're gonna try this one first. This is an iBuffalo classic USB gamepad. Yeah, Super Famicom style. I absolutely love these controllers. I have a bunch and I've had these for a long time. Japanese writing on the back. I don't know if these were sold in the US or not, but they feel for, you know, aftermarket, they feel very much like a real SNES controller. Nice D-pad, nice button pushes, USB connection, so it just works if you plug it into a modern computer. Now, first thing I was wondering is, well, that doesn't do anything, but we did set it for mouse mode. So let's exit out of the VI here. Whoops. Oh, this keyboard, it's frustrating to use. Okay, so is mouse working with the keyboard? It is not. Did I run Cute Mouse? Yes, it is running right now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's working on the keyboard. Let's see what happens on here now. Okay, nothing. that's what's happening. Let's see if the menu works now. No, we're having that weird issue still. All right, let's do it in VI since that was where it was working. So game, use as mouse. Yes. Log HID data. So here's the log. Nothing. Well, all right, so moving the mouse does log data, as does pushing keys, make and break and whatnot. But the gamepad was not doing anything. So if I plug this in, I might have to go grab, oh, okay, now it's doing stuff. Set boot mode interface, what is all this? Okay, well, I don't know. I really don't know what's happening here. Can I exit out of this even? Yes. Funny thing is I can still type, but when I look at the light on the HIDman, it's blinking like wild. Okay, so at this point, this gamepad does work. Up, down, left, right. The D-pad actually moves the cursor around. And then these are mapped as A, B, C, D, and then the shoulder buttons don't do anything, nor do start, select. Okay, actually select is the G key, but start doesn't do anything, and nor do the shoulders. It could well be that those are mapped to something like modifier keys though. So let's exit out and go to check it, because our keyboard tester, if we go to enhanced keyboard, this may give us a bit more info. No, shoulder buttons don't do anything. Select is G, start doesn't do anything. And we know that these are mapped already to these. Okay. Well, how interesting is that? That it like kind of works, but also the light is blinking like mad on here. Let's take a look at Pesky Robots, where I think I can remap keys. Oh, sorry about the way this looks. I have to push a button here. This is just the VGA card I'm using, and my capture device, it does not work. Custom keys. All right, so this gives us the ability to map keys. Up, down, left, right, fire up, down, left, right. This is where I'm out of buttons on this because these shoulder buttons don't work. If they did, I would sort of have enough buttons. I think select worked. We'll do cycle weapons. Then I'm going to have to use the keyboard for stuff. I, U, S, and M. Okay. So there we go. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool, actually, that this totally works. I love it, actually. Yeah, this is neat, because I really like using gamepads, and using a gamepad on MS-DOS, not super easy, but a lot of games support redefinable keys like this does, and then we have access to using it. I should go grab an Xbox 360 controller, because those are kind of more universally supported, and maybe all of its buttons will be supported, and then we would have enough functions, I think, for all the capabilities of Pesky Robots. So yeah, to like search this, you have to push S. So this is where it's good to have an actual button. So yeah, we searched and stuff like that. Okay, I went and grabbed two more controllers, Xbox 360 USB controller, and then I have this, which is Next USB kind of Super NES color cheap thing. This feels so much lighter and junkier than this iBuffalo. Like, it's fine, it works. D-pad is not the most horrible thing in the world, but it's just light and crappy compared to this. I don't know if this is modern or how old this is. I think the iBuffalos, unfortunately, are out of production. So let's plug in this other SNES one. Okay, it looks similar. The light is blinking like mad. Kind of see that there. And let's go to our keyboard tester. So up, down, left, right. Wow. Okay, I noticed what's happening is left is not working, oddly enough. I am quite sure that left works on this controller. Let me just quickly verify that. I love how Microsoft Windows is like Windows 11 still has like all this like legacy junk that's looked the same basically forever. Yeah, left works completely without issue on this. So that's weird that this controller up, down, right works and not left, but pretty sure all the buttons work fine here as well. Shoulders, start and select. Oddly enough, it has buttons 6 and 8, which don't exist on this controller. So whatever cheap thing they're using in here, obviously it's like whatever chip is in there is bad or whatnot. Let's plug in this Buffalo. So up, down, left, right. Yep, works fine. Shoulders, start, select. Yeah, okay, so this only shows 8 buttons, which is exactly what this has. So that's correct. And last but not least, let's plug in quickly my Xbox 360 controller. I just want to make sure this works. I do use this from time to time, although, well, yeah, I do use this if I'm gaming upstairs and I'm playing a game like Forza Horizon. I find it better to use a controller like this than, say, a D-pad or the keyboard. This is showing up as the Xbox 360 controller, and I'm sure everything is fine on here. Yeah, so this all looks good. So that's every button, then those, and the hats, and then the point of view hat, which is hilarious because that's actually the D-pad. And then this is the left stick, which does work. And you know what? As old as this controller is, I've had this so long, it's not really drifty either. And it doesn't really have a dead spot, which is amazing. I mean, it actually works quite well. I mean, I've always been really happy with these 360 controllers. I have so many of these, a bunch of those wireless receivers as well. Very handy because, of course, I do couch gaming sometimes, like down here in the basement. I have a big TV set up with a computer with a GPU, so I'll do that. You know, Steam big screen mode and all that. But anyways, okay, this one works. Let's plug it into the HIDman and let's see how it works on here. Okay, the light is not blinking like mad. But if I push the buttons also, nothing's really happening. So that's not a good sign. So right off the bat, we're not really getting anything out of here. Now, normally when this is working, you of course get, controller 1 selected out of the 4 possible ones, and that's not doing anything either. Let me just try it real quick and unplug it and plug it back in. Yeah, it doesn't really show it as detected. Okay. Okay, really quickly, I'm just going to plug in this junky Next controller back in again. Just want to see if... Okay. Yeah, same problem. Left does not work. Up, down works, and right. And you saw it when I first plugged it in. It was kind of going wild. It kept thinking I was pushing left. What I do want to see, let's go to VI and let's switch back to the mouse mode thing. And let's turn on the mouse, or use as mouse. Okay, that is on right now. For advanced, factory reset. Okay. So does it actually work as a mouse? We definitely know no. It does not work as a mouse. So clearly I don't know how to use the joystick as a mouse feature. Maybe it only really works with analog joysticks, and this one doesn't work, but ones that have an analog stick, because then it would move the mouse proportionally speed-wise. I'm not too worried about having mouse support not working, even though it's turned on. It doesn't really matter to me. I would like to be able to use all 8 buttons on this controller because I really like this gamepad, and it would be great to be able to play some old MS-DOS games, to be honest, that have keyboard mapping with a controller like this. That actually is awesome. I've been looking for a really good gamepad style controller for the IBM PC for a while. And there's the Gravis gamepad, if you remember those things. It plugged into the regular joystick port, like on a sound card. I hate how the D-pad is on that. It is so terrible. And even back in the day when that's what I had, hated that thing. So it'd be really cool to have something like this, not to mention because you can map well, theoretically, you can map all 8 buttons to do stuff. So you're playing a game that had like lots more functions than even a regular IBM PC joystick supported, which I think, well, it could support 4 because each joystick port on the PC actually supports 2 joysticks. So it would be using the 2 buttons from each joystick for 1 joystick. But this, has 8 buttons on it, and that seems better. 8 is better than 2 or 4. I just had a thought. Let's just take a look at the firmware. Fixed a regression in game controller support, added support for multiple USB mice at once. That's handy. You know why that's really good? Is because if you're using a wireless dongle like the Logitech one, it always presents as a mouse and a keyboard, whether you have an actual mouse paired to it or not. So therefore, if you have to use a regular USB mouse in addition to the wireless dongle, you need to be able to support multiple at once. If we look at the releases, there is beta firmware with nested hub support. This might actually allow it to work with the iMac keyboard. Some media key selection, I guess volume keys, for instance, were supported on PS2. That's not really something that a 286 would support, but later machine Windows versions had that support. Firmware 1.1.5, KVM's better supported, more USB devices supported in advanced mode, like mouse wheel and key rollover, reduced latency around 1 millisecond, XT compatibility improved, now works on IBM 5160s, PS2 compatibility improved, other bug fixes, performance improvements, fixed a bug in the menu, proper parsing of weird USB report fields, reduced latency, this is sort of related, critical path, latency. And we can see that this goes back all the way to 2024. So this isn't a new thing, and I'm sure there are plenty of other videos about this, but I just really wanted to highlight that I've been finding this thing very, very useful. And taking a look at the issues here, gaming mouse, wireless mouse, people asking for multi-keyboard layout support in the menus, joystick MIDI device support, fake gamepad, mouse is sometimes not detected by BIOS during warm boot. As I was mentioning, other than the game controller stuff, which I hadn't really tested before right now, I've never had a single issue with whatever firmware is on this thing. It has always just worked. And that's why I freaking love this thing. Oh, except for like that stupid iMac keyboard. But you know what? That's a weird keyboard and it has a bad layout anyway, so I really shouldn't be using that. Looks like someone is asking for basic joystick keystroke remapping via a built-in menu. So as opposed to just using like the arrow keys and then A, B, C, D, for instance. And he says that this is a feature that's been on his mind for some time. Essentially, all the backend code is there, just needs a menu to be coded. Cool, okay. Looks like someone is asking for Olivetti M24 support, which of course also is another weird thing, like the Tandy 1000. So Tandy 1000 support, Olivetti support would be awesome adds as well. Andy, of course, is just one person, so if you're a good software developer and you want to add some extra functionality to this, like those additional keyboard support, remapping of the joystick, or better gamepad compatibility, then that would be fantastic. But as it is right now, I find this thing so useful for me for the reasons I mentioned. It's just easy, broad compatibility and hot swappable between XT and AT. And I do have an Amstrad PC upstairs, so when I get to that as well, I do have the keyboard for it, luckily. But who knows if that works, then I'll be able to use this for testing as well. So Andy, thank you very much for creating this and working on this and getting it to where it is right now, because even as it is, yeah, it's rough around the edges a little bit in some ways, but for its primary duty of keyboard and mouse emulation, I haven't really had an issue with it, and for that, I'm very grateful. So thanks very much for working on this. And then, of course, Aaron at Retro Hack Shack, thank you very much for sending one of these over to me. Aaron thought I could use one of these for this exact purpose, because Aaron knows I work on all sorts of stuff all the time, and Aaron was spot on. This is going to be a regular fixture on the bench. In fact, I'm just going to keep it all the time off to the side right here, so whenever I need either type of keyboard, I'm just going to grab it. And if anyone has a better recommendation for a better wireless keyboard than this piece of junk, comment down below, because I got to replace this, and I would love to have something just a bit better. I do like the fact that it's wireless, because I can just move it out of the way without having to deal with the wires. So yeah, if anyone has any recommendations, let me know. So all the links for this will be in the description below, so check it out if you are so interested. And I guess, well, that's going to be it for this little second channel video. And huge thanks to my supporters that make it possible to do this full time. Names go upside the screen. You know, comment down below, subscribe, the usual YouTube junk. And I guess that's going to be that. So stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.